$1,500 a month. That's not rent. That's a subscription to survival. Every single month, your bank account gets drained, not for something that builds your future, not for something that grows your wealth, but just so you can exist in a small piece of space that you don't even own. You wake up early, you go to work, you spend hours of your life dealing with stress, traffic, responsibilities, and pressure. And at the end of the month, almost everything you earned disappears. Then the cycle repeats again and again. Most people never stop to question this because it feels normal. Everyone around them is doing the same thing, so it must be right. But if you zoom out, the reality looks different. You are constantly working to maintain a position, not to improve it. You are running, but not moving forward. And the most dangerous part is how fragile this system really is. One unexpected expense can break everything. One hospital bill, one accident, one euvolnia can push you into debt or take away the place you live in. What looks like stability is actually a very thin layer of security that can crack at any moment. You are not as safe as you think. You are simply used to the risk. Not everyone accepted this reality. Some people looked at the same system and decided to question it. These are van dwellers. They are often misunderstood because from the outside, it looks like they gave up, but in reality, they did something much harder. They chose to think differently. They are not driven by status or expectations. They are driven by logic. They sat down and looked at their expenses, their time, and their energy, and they realized that the traditional path was costing them too much of all three. Instead of chasing a bigger apartment or a higher salary just to maintain the same lifestyle, they asked a different question: what if you reduce the need instead of increasing the income? That is where the idea of the freedom equation comes from. It is not complicated. It is based on one principle. Freedom is not about how much you earn. It is about how little you need. When you reduce your обязательства, you increase your control. When your lifestyle becomes cheaper, your dependence on the system becomes weaker. This is what makes them different. They are not trying to win the same game. They change the rules. To understand this clearly, you need to look at where your money actually goes. Every month, you send a large part of your income to a landlord. That money does not disappear. It becomes someone else's asset. It pays off someone else's property, someone else's investments, someone else's future. While you are working to maintain your position, someone else is building wealth using your effort. This is the part most people ignore because it is uncomfortable to admit. You are not just paying for a place to live. You are participating in a system where your time is converted into someone else's long-term gain. This creates a kind of invisible cage. It does not feel like a prison because it looks normal. You have a place to sleep, a routine, a structure, but at the same time, you are locked into constant payments that limit your ability to make bold decisions. You cannot easily quit your job. You cannot easily take risks, and you cannot easily change direction because your expenses are too high. When people talk about freedom, they often think about having more money, but real freedom starts when your basic survival does not require constant pressure. The moment your expenses drop, your options expand. That is the difference between being inside the system and stepping outside of it. Now look at the numbers in a direct comparison. A typical apartment can cost around $1,800 per month, sometimes more depending on the city. When you include utilities, subscriptions, and daily expenses, the total becomes even higher. This means you need a stable and often high-paying job just to maintain your lifestyle. Now compare that to van life, where total monthly expenses can be around $300 to $400. This includes fuel, basic food, and minimal maintenance. The difference between these two numbers is not just significant, it is life-changing. When your monthly needs are low, your entire relationship with work changes. You are no longer forced to accept any job just to survive. You are no longer zavisimi vid одного джерела доходу. Even small earnings can cover your needs, which gives you flexibility. This is where the idea of an unfireable budget comes in. It does not mean you cannot lose your job. It means losing your job does not destroy your life. Your financial pressure is so low that you can recover quickly. You can take time to think, to adapt, and to choose your next step instead of reacting out of panic. This level of stability does not come from earning more. It comes from needing less. Money is only one part of the change. The deeper transformation happens in your mind. And when you live in a large space, you tend to fill it with things, furniture, clothes, gadgets, decorations, items you rarely use but continue to keep. Over time, these things become part of your daily environment. Each object takes a small amount of your attention. It needs to be cleaned, organized, maintained, or simply mentally processed. This creates a constant background noise in your life. You may not notice it directly, but it affects how you think and feel. When you reduce your space, you are forced to be intentional. You can only keep what truly matters. This naturally removes unnecessary complexity from your life. Your environment becomes simpler and your mind follows. Clarity is not something you add. It is something you uncover when you remove what is not essential. This is why many people who try
I'm going ahead.
minimalism
It's
report
safe.
feeling
No, it's too
calmer
risky. We should turn back.
and
I can
more
handle it. You
focused.
stay here.
They
Hey,
are not
wait!
gaining
Don't go alone.
something new.
I'll be fine.
They
Trust
are
me, this is
losing
crazy.
what was distracting them. A simple way to experience this is through a small experiment. Live for a month with only the items that fit into a single box. Limit your choices and observe how it affects your thinking. You may discover that comfort does not come from quantity, but from simplicity. Even if the logic makes sense, the social pressure can be strong. Most people are deeply connected to the idea of what a normal life should look like. A stable job, a fixed home, a predictable routine. When you step away from that model, it creates tension. Friends may question your decision because it does not match their expectations. Family members may worry because they associate unconventional choices with risk. Some people may even criticize
I don't
you,
understand. The bills just keep
not
stacking
because
up.
they understand your situation.
How is this
but
happening? I make
because it
more than
challenges
enough.
their beliefs.
This makes
This
no sense.
reaction is not always about you. It is often about them. When someone sees a different path, it forces them to consider whether their own path is truly the best one. That can be uncomfortable, so the easiest response is to reject the alternative. Understanding this helps you separate useful advice from emotional reactions. Not all criticism is valuable. Some of it is simply a reflection of fear or pravichka. Choosing a different lifestyle requires not only practical changes, but also the ability to handle social pressure without losing confidence in your decision. A clear example of this shift can be seen in the story of a programmer from San Francisco. He had a high income, earning a six-figure salary, and from the outside, his life looked successful. However, his daily reality was very different. Long working hours, constant stress, and very little
A small
personal
daily
time.
expense of
Despite
$5
earning more
adds
than
up.
most people,
By
he
the
felt
end of the
stuck.
year, it's
His expenses were high, his
$1,825.
responsibilities were
This is how
fixed,
small costs
and
become
his
large
time was limited.
expenses.
Increasing his income further would not solve the problem because his lifestyle would expand with it. He decided to take a different approach. Instead of earning more, he focused on needing less. He sold most of his belongings, moved into a van, and drastically reduced his monthly expenses. The result was immediate. With lower costs, he no longer needed to work full-time. He reduced his working hours to around 15 per week and gained control over his schedule. He was able to travel, rest, and spend time on things that mattered to him. His skills did not change. His intelligence did not change. The only thing that changed was the structure of his life. By adjusting the equation, he achieved a completely different outcome. When you put everything together, the difference becomes clear. Lower expenses can lead to significant annual savings, sometimes reaching tens of thousands of dollars. More importantly, they create flexibility. You are no longer locked into one way of living. Traditional housing is often seen as a symbol of success and stability, while alternative lifestyles like van living are seen as risky or unconventional. However, when you analyze the numbers and the impact on your daily life, this perception can change. The real question is not which option looks better from the outside, but which one gives you more control over your time, your energy, and your future. Some people will choose comfort and familiarity, even if it comes with higher pressure. Others will choose simplicity and flexibility, even if it looks unusual. In the end, this is not about living in a van. It is about understanding that you have a choice. You can follow the default path, or you can design a different one based on your priorities.